Toei Animation got hacked, and in addition to this being just an absolutely insane story all on its own, this has had some ramifications for One Piece anime fans. Bad ones. Bad ramifications. I don't ever think there are good ramifications. It's just one of those words. But the One Piece anime has been delayed indefinitely, which isn't as scary of a word as it sounds, but it's still pretty awful. So according to Silicon Era, on March 6, 2022, an unauthorized third party attempted to hack Toei Animation's internal systems. The hacking incident resulted in the company's online store and internal systems temporarily shutting down as a safety measure. And according to an online statement from Toei themselves, we confirm that our network was compromised by a third party on March 6 this year and decided to shut down our internal system. We are currently investigating the details, but we are also conducting an investigation by an external specialized institution to confirm whether information about customers and business partners and personal information are included. So right now we have no idea who these hackers are or what their goals were, but whatever the case, some pretty serious data may have been compromised, and I think a big part about this concern are the hackers accessing personal information, not so much about, say, Toei employees and such, but more so the customers of their online store, or at least that's how they make it sound. Which is important to point out because as much as we don't know the motivation behind this action, it seems very unlikely that it's a direct attack on Toei, which obviously isn't the conclusion that Twitter immediately jumped to because this is Twitter. You know, stories immediately popped up about some disgruntled ex-Toei fan or employee carrying out an attack, rah. And there were even some people who suggested that this was an act of vengeance for what Toei did to Totally Not Mark, but that is, I'm gonna say 100% not the case, because it definitely feels more financially motivated. You know, collecting the credit card details of people who visited the Toei store and stuff like that. Whatever the case, this has had some severe effects on the entire company, not just the online store component. And as such, we've got some potentially very bad news for One Piece fans. Not only that, but also Digimon, Dragon Quest, Pretty Cure, and whatever else Toei do currently. But I'm going to assume that most of you watching this channel found it through the magic of fictional pirates. So this, I cannot stress this enough, this really is the worst possible timing for One Piece because things were about to get so good. We were about to enter a particular phase that manga readers were very keen for, but One Piece was delayed. Episode 1014 was supposed to air last Sunday, but has now been rescheduled to 3 horrifying letters being TBD. To be determined. Although actually I also think that the episode was never going to air because there was some kind of marathon happening. It doesn't matter, we don't know when it's coming. But it seemed like a very sudden and I guess interesting decision because it seems unlikely that the hacks affected that episode in any way. I mean, it should have been well and truly good to go before the air date. Some people have suggested that these attacks have resulted in compromised files and things across the Toei internal system, which may have actually ruined existing episodes, and I want to make it clear that any talk along those lines is pure speculation. It feels more like an issue where the system has had to shut down, thus hindering communications and workflow and delaying future episodes. So this may have been a decision where Toei decided to have the delay now, with a couple of episodes up their Toei sleeve, rather than just run with things and perhaps even risk running out of backup episodes. Again though, it just happened at the worst possible time, really. The One Piece anime was just about to tackle chapter 1000, which is something that I've personally been looking forward to for well over a year now. And I don't want to turn this into one of those videos, but I mean it is one of those videos. But I do just want to touch on the existing delay between the anime and the manga because that gap is widening. Chapter 1000 was released in January 2021, and we were only just set to reach that point in the anime with episode 1015, which those numbers are wild in and of themselves, by the way. The fact that 1000 chapters of manga have been adapted into 1015 episodes, I mean, if that doesn't just smack you in the face with the pacing problem, then I'm not sure what will. Typical shonen series tend to adapt 2 to 3 chapters per episode, so in an ideal, more well-paced world, One Piece should look more like 500 episodes at this stage, not 1015. Sorry, that's a tangent though. My point here was to talk to anime fans and say that, look, whatever you're seeing right now, weekly in the manga, is stuff that you won't see animated for well over a year, and that is under the best case scenario, which this is not. So I would strongly recommend anime watchers who are not feeling so great about this whole hiatus thing with the hack and all of that to just pick up the manga. Because there is nothing worse in life than just having no One Piece at all. So if you did want to continue where episode 1013 left off, then the place you should start is chapter 999. Very easy number to remember. It's just one before 1,000. And I really don't think that you will regret your decision. I mean, the scary thing right now is we just have no information on exactly when the anime will be back. Although I should say this isn't the first time that this has happened. This feels both simultaneously like yesterday and forever ago. But when the pandemic first hit in 2021, the One Piece anime suffered a lot, and it was put on another indefinite hiatus, which lasted about 2 months. And I don't think this hiatus will be as long as that. I guess I don't know that, but with such little information available, it's hard to make estimates. It definitely doesn't bode too well for the future though, especially with anime fans who are excited to see the raid and even the end of Wano, because that is such a faraway idea. To put that into some perspective, the raid still has not concluded in the manga. So with the existing gap and the new hiatus, it could very well be late 2023 before the raid actually ends in the anime. Which, yeah, sounds crazy to say out loud, but honestly, that might even be the conservative view. It might even be early 2024. And just as a reminder, it's currently 2022 at the time of this recording. So I do admire the tenacity and just the sheer patience of anime watchers. My addiction to fictional pirates is just such that I could never wait anywhere near that long for a story that I knew had already been told elsewhere. Now, to look at the unfortunate flip side of things, there have also been some comments from manga supremacists saying stuff along the lines of, good, maybe this will fix the pacing, bad Toei bad. And I just don't say that. It's one of the stupidest things that anyone could possibly say in this situation. Because firstly, it's just never nice to take pleasure in other people's pain, even if there is a word for it, Schadenfreude. But secondly, because even if we take that argument, this shutdown is not going to magically fix an entire business model. And thirdly, because even if it could, we're not talking about a hiatus of a couple of weeks or even a couple of months. You would need literally years to create a big enough gap for Toei not to be concerned with padding out episodes. And also, here's a bit of a worst case scenario to think about, which is that let's accept that this hack did somehow corrupt all of the files and things. That means that Toei would very, very quickly have to scramble to redo episodes, which would no doubt result in even more of a massive dip of quality. But look, for someone who actually knows what they're talking about, because that's important, I am just a dude in a room. But Henry Thurlow did take to Twitter, who, if you don't know, does work for Toei on the One Piece animation stuff. So here's what he had to say about the situation. I can't comment on the current news. I did retweet links for reference though. All I can say is that when stupid assholes do stupid asinine things, we all suffer. This goes for hackers, and for that matter, people who share leaked content before its release date as well. And yeah, there's a couple of different things going on there. Sadly, not much is revealed about the hacking situation, but it may imply that offenders did have a bit more of a motive than just seeking credit card details and things. Maybe it was designed as an act of sabotage or whatever, who knows? We'll probably never know unless someone gets charged, to be honest. But the second part of Henry's statement, I suspect, is directed at people who leak and distribute scans of the manga, just because it is very specific about the whole sharing leaked content before the release date thing. That doesn't happen with the anime. And to be honest, I do find it a bit hard to disagree with that. When people release and share leaks of early chapters, it personally makes my life very difficult, because it makes companies like Shueisha, who publish One Piece, very hostile, and thinking that any content on the internet could potentially just be flat out piracy of their material, so they go with a scorched earth policy. And people like me are in a dangerous enough spot as it is with the Japanese take on fair use. I have mentioned this in other videos though, they do have the power to change this dynamic pretty much whenever they want to, because if the One Piece manga had an initial digital release, then there would be no leaks, because there would be no physical copies to take pictures of and scan and clean and stuff. And imagine if all of Shonen Jump, or I guess even all of Shueisha, did that, then it would practically kill scan groups overnight. Because as much as people complain about the official translations, people are gonna get over that pretty insanely quickly if the official comes out first. Scan groups would instantly become a historic relic. So I guess, yeah, as a marketing person, I find it difficult to sympathize with a company who have such a clear solution to the fight against piracy, but who simply refuse to take it because it involves change. And that's a very difficult and tedious thing to do within the Japanese business ecosystem. And apologies again, I went off on another tangent there. One thing that probably hasn't been spoken about much though are how this may impact the animators and I guess the general Toei staff. Because if operations have been shut down to the point where we're discussing an indefinite hiatus, then I can't imagine that many of those those people are still getting paid. For example, I believe that a lot of animators don't work under full-time contracts as we would traditionally understand a job in the West. They operate more like what we in Australia would call sole traders, and many animators in particular get paid per drawing. There was even a fascinating Vox article in 2018 which stated that an entry-level in-between animator got paid around 200 yen per drawing, which, for comparison, that's less than $2 US. But I don't want to start a discussion about the issues of the anime industry. It's notoriously questionable to say the least, and potentially criminally negligent to say the worst, with all sorts of documented cases of workers being hospitalized from sheer overwork. One of which has been Henry Thurlow, by the way, the guy I just quoted on Twitter. He did an interview with BuzzFeed where he stated that he's been hospitalized on a multitude of occasions for exhaustion-related illnesses resulting from work. Again though, from what I understand, if nobody's drawing, then nobody's getting paid. So as much as we may make these snarky remarks about the anime, I do want to emphasize the true tragedy of the situation, which is almost certainly the staff. I hope they're all okay and able to financially survive this. Again, it's not easy even under the ideal conditions, so I do genuinely wish them all the best. And of course, we'll keep updated with the status of Toei and the One Piece anime, but for now, let's end the video with my dog.
Hey, Pucky.